The Funeral Ladies of Ellerie County is about Esther Larson. She is the matriarch of a large Catholic family in Wisconsin, and she unfortunately has been scammed by someone on the internet. And so she is suddenly short $30,000 and needs to find a way to make that money back to save her house. And so she and some of her other volunteers at church end up creating a community cookbook. And in the meantime, a celebrity chef has come to town with his mysterious son, and he meets Esther's granddaughter, and all kinds of sweet hijinks ensue. So that's kind of an overview of the Funeral Ladies of Ellerie County. What made me want to write that book, honestly, that was a very surreal writing experience to me. I was just having a creative day up north in the Northwoods. I was sitting on my parents' boat. It was like docked. My kids were napping. My mom was up there, so I wasn't worried about them. And I ended up just writing longhand, like stream of consciousness from Esther, the main character. I just started writing and I wrote most of the first chapter longhand on that boat. And I was like, what the heck is this? I don't write adults. Who's going to want to read a book about an 82-year-old? Like, who cares about like Midwestern cuisine besides me? But I knew that my agent repped all different kinds of books. He's all over the place. He's got graphic novels, he's got picture books, he's got it all. So he's also always brutally honest with me. So I knew if I sent him the first chapter, he would tell me what he thought. And as I was like kind of whipping that up, the title came to me super clearly, like The Funeral Ladies of Ellerie County. I was like, that is a good title. I'm holding on to that. And I found writing for adults after writing for kids for so long, writing for adults felt so easy. Like I wasn't worried about the references being current. I wasn't worried about my language. I wasn't worried about like having a bad influence on the youths, which like everyone in Kid Lit is so worried about all the time. So it was just amazing to just feel like I could exhale a little bit. It really brought a lot of joy to me to be able to sit and write this book. And it's really about things that I love. It's about the Midwest. It's about casserole. It's about the Food Network. So many things that I just really, really love all in one book. Pretty recently, my mom had showed me her great grandma's community cookbook. And I was like, what is this? And she was explaining to me that like, this was how churches back in the day would get a new parking lot, is they would all come together and they would make this community cookbook and they would sell it. And this was like their form of fundraising. And then I ended up learning just about the history of community cookbooks. And it was fascinating to me the way they've been used in like the civil rights movement and the suffrage movement. And our Northwoods church still does a community cookbook every few years. And so it was just something that I fell in love with. And I think that what we eat can really say so much about who we are. I think it says things about our class and about our region, and it can just really tell a pretty inclusive story about like who we are as a person. And there's so many odes to like Southern cooking out there. There's like 1,000,001 Southern cooking blogs, shows, cookbooks. The Midwest, when people think of it, they think of like cream of chicken soup in a can, which honestly valid because we use it a lot. So like I get it, but I love that kind of food, that food that like sticks to your ribs and you can reheat it 3 times and like you can feed people in large quantities. I think that says something about the Midwest. It says something about like our hospitality and our working class nature. And I had just been to a funeral with my mom for my great aunt, who I didn't know super well, but like I had to go like rep the family because I'm the one without a real job, right? So I'm the one who gets brought to all these things. And I'm like there with my mom, and all these random people are coming up to her and talking to her. And she's just explaining to me, like, oh, that's my cousin Bob, or like, oh, yeah, that's my uncle, blah, blah. And I'm like, this is so interesting. Just there's this huge family nature. And there was so much food. And I was just like, Mom, who made all this food? And she was like, oh, the church committee. The church has a committee that does it. Because like most people in this small town can't go to they can't go to a restaurant for their funeral because it's like going to be 150 people. Like who can afford that? So the church does it. And I had never thought of that before because I'm pretty young. I haven't been to a lot of funerals. So it was like an alchemy of a lot of different aspects of food culture coming at me all at once.